Hello everyone! In today's video we're going to be focusing on osmosis and diffusion. Now first off we're going to go ahead and define osmosis. Osmosis is the tendency for water to move from a high concentration to a low concentration across a membrane until it is even. Now, what does this mean? I know there's a lot of really big words in there. So, what water likes to do is it likes to be in balance, okay? It likes to have the same concentration on any kind of side. So eggs are an example of a membrane. They have that shell, but when you get rid of the shell, underneath is a barrier. That barrier keeps all the contents of the cell within them, right? But if you place this thing in water or different concentrations of things that might or might not have water, the water will move. So one of the ones that we did was an egg in corn syrup. So we're going to represent our water with these little particles here. And corn syrup has very little water. It doesn't have no water. There is a little bit of water in it, but it has very low water. So what is going to happen? Osmosis causes the water to move out of the egg. You can see that there are way higher concentrations of molecules inside than outside. And they again want to be at balance, or what we call equilibrium. So they will keep moving out until there's an even concentration both inside and outside of the egg. Okay? Now the opposite is also true. If the inside of the egg has a lower concentration, so it has some water molecules, and we have a much higher concentration on the outside, then we will have the exact opposite happen, and the water will start to move into the egg, kind of getting it a bit puffier. And again, until we reach that equilibrium where there's an equal concentration on the inside and the outside. Now, this is really important because this is how we hydrate. You might have heard before that if you are, near the ocean and you're thirsty, don't drink the seawater. And that is because seawater actually has salt in it, as we might be aware, but that salt means that it actually pulls water out of our cells. So even though we're drinking water, we're drinking salt water that has a lower concentration of water than our cells, so it pulls the water out. Essentially what's going on here is what's happening to our cells if you drink salt water. Now, you also can overhydrate. There's this thing called water intoxication, where your cells are supposed to be at a certain level of water content, but if you drink something that's very pure water or you drink too much water too quickly, you can overhydrate your cells, and if it's so incredibly much, you actually can burst your cells and end up causing a lot of harm to yourself. Now, osmosis specifically talks about water and moving across a membrane, but this whole idea of high concentration to low concentration is not unique just to osmosis. There's also the concept of diffusion. So diffusion is similar to osmosis, but with particles that are not water, or crossing a membrane. So as an example, if you take air freshener, right? We'll do a little doodle down here. If you take a can of air freshener and you spray it, right, you're going to have a huge concentration right at the site of spraying. Okay, so these are all of our particles. But as time goes on, those particles are going to start to spread out. So as we go along, still got our can, but the particles over time go to the areas of low concentration from the areas of high concentration. So that's why you can spray something nicely in one area of a room, and it is going to spread out and eventually cover that entire room. Now, this high concentration, you're going to smell it pretty intensely because there's a lot of particles in a small area. And over here, you're going to smell it a lot more faintly, which is kind of the intention, right? A lot of these fragrances are very strong, so you get a face full of it. It's super, super overwhelming. But if it's nice and kind of spread out like they're intended to be, then it can be quite a nice scent. So osmosis, again, is moving across from high to low concentration, water over a membrane. This can be an egg, this can be cells in general. There's also a lot of different types of membranes that we will talk about going forward that this happens to. And then diffusion is just this general idea of moving from a high concentration to low concentration and spreading out until we reach that balance. All right, there we are. Hope you all have a wonderful day.